So when I think picnic, I think things that will, not, that will maybe, you don't need to worry about sunshine and mayonnaise and things going bad. That's one of the things I think about. Number two, I think about things that will pack along well and that are easy. So, when I was putting the show together, we were thinking about it, I thought right away a great big pasta salad. That is the perfect thing to bring along for a picnic. Or if you're having a summer cookout, you can't go wrong with a side dish of a great pasta salad. So this one is really fresh. It's something different. No mayonnaise involved. Very colorful, full of all sorts of wonderful flavors, and very, very easy. It's a pesto pasta salad, and it's just a lot of fun and yummy. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with some fun noodles. I'm using the rotini, or kind of the corkscrew noodles, and I'm just going to drop those into some boiling water, a little bit of salt, and I'm looking for my salt, there it is, into the water, because that's really your only opportunity to get it in there. And then I'm going to bring that to a boil. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a quick homemade pesto sauce, and later in the show we're going to turn that pesto sauce, use it into another recipe perfect for a picnic, and that is a pesto chicken salad recipe. I love a good sandwich on a picnic, so we're going to make a couple different great sandwiches for a picnic. But when I'm doing the pesto, I love to use pine nuts. You could also use walnuts. You can also leave the nuts out altogether. Pine nuts are a little bit pricey, but boy, are they good. And normally when you toast nuts, and in this case it's really nice to toast the nuts for a pesto, I do it in a dry skillet. But pine nuts are kind of, I don't know, well, not only they're expensive, but they're a little bit more difficult to toast. They seem very delicate. So I'm doing a little olive oil in the pan. I got that tip from an local Italian chef, and it really works nice. So I'm going to add some pine nuts to my skillet and lightly toast them, and the oil is going to help with that. So Ann, good morning, by the way.
Hello.
When's the last time you went on a picnic?
Probably never.
Oh, it's been a long time, she says, or probably never. Well, if it's probably never, we are so going. I'm sure your mom and dad took you on a picnic growing up. Come on, you went to a park and had a picnic lunch. Anyway, Ann, your job is to help me not forget about my nuts, okay? All right, so let's get to the pesto, the homemade pesto part of this recipe. You need to get yourself a whole bunch of basil. And so I've got some basil leaves here. You don't want to use the stems. And just when you think that's a lot of basil leaves, it's probably not even enough, because when you're making homemade pesto, you need a boatload of fresh basil. So get it in there. Homemade pesto is so easy to make, and it's so yummy. If you have to buy the pesto for this recipe, I'm okay with that. I'm all about shortcuts. Sometimes there just isn't enough time in the day. Buy the refrigerated stuff that you'll see near the fresh pasta. So much better than the stuff that's on the shelf. And actually, it's come a long way. A little bit of a boil over here, but we're okay. All right. So I'm just taking my fresh basil leaves and getting them in here. One of my favorite places to go on a picnic is the beach. We have a great beach. I save a couple of these great leaves for garnish near our cottage, and I just love to go bring a book, and Ireland and I will go and just hang out. I have a favorite spot underneath a tree. I don't like to be out in the sun. I got my baseball cap on just to make sure I don't go home sunburned for my picnic, but we love to pack a special lunch with not only things like a pasta salad and sandwiches and some fruit, but some fun treats too. So later in the show, we're going to be making some fun treats to pack along in your picnic lunch. Okay, so we've got our basil in here. We're doing 3 cloves of garlic. Checking on my nuts here. Just looking for a little bit of a spatula. See how they're beginning to toast up just a little bit? I'm going to get them off the heat right now. When you toast nuts, it brings them back to life. It gives them some really great flavor. So at this point, you see how quickly that happens? And the oil with the pine nuts, because they are so delicate, really, really helps. There's nothing worse. There's just, Nothing worse than burning something that was kind of pricey to begin with. So pine nuts, like I say, they're a little bit pricey. Don't want to be burning those nuts at all. The oil helps with that. So they're perfectly toasted and look fantastic. So now we're going to start putting this pesto sauce together. And it's as easy as a bunch of basil, garlic. We're going to throw some Parmesan cheese in here in a bit. And we're doing quite a bit of olive oil, and then our pine nuts will go in. So we'll get this started. The blender or food processor makes this very, very easy. In goes our parm. We'll throw our pine nuts in. Probably don't need all of those. We're going to save some for another recipe down the road, the chicken salad that I mentioned. And see all those basil leaves? Doesn't make a whole ton of pesto, so make sure you've got a load. There we go. Pesto is done. So we're going to use some of this pesto. We don't need all of it. We'll save the rest for our second recipe. Look at how gorgeous and bright green that is. And the dressing for this is very, very simple. I'm actually going to take some more oil to thin it out, really coat that pasta, and some fresh lemon juice. That's it. This is the dressing. So no mayo involved, but this pesto is going to have a lot of really great flavor. And what was I thinking? I need to be juicing this. This is one of those lemons that's full of seeds, so let me get those seeds out of there. Don't want anybody biting into a seed in my picnic. Not on my watch. So let me get those couple of seeds out of there. Just when you think you've got a lemon without seeds, nope, not happening. Okay, got the seeds out. I'm going to whisk this together, and we're going to start putting this pasta salad together. It makes a really, see that dressing? It's going to be nice and bright and green and delicious. What you're seeing in there are the pine nuts. Those aren't lemon seeds. Don't worry about that. I'm going to do just a little more oil. Okay. This is a make ahead. You could certainly make this a day ahead of your picnic. Like all pasta salads, if you do make them ahead, I always like to do a dressing check. Pasta really tends to soak up whatever dressing, even if it's a mayo dressing, really soaks it up. So I love to make this morning of my picnic so the flavors really come together, but I understand sometimes you want to get things done a day or even two ahead. So do a dressing check, add a little more oil, maybe a little more lemon juice, a little more pesto. If you think that it needs it. I'm just running some cool water over this pasta just to cool it off because I don't want to cook that pesto sauce. So cold water will do that. You never want to cook pesto sauce. It'll turn that bright green into not a very pretty color. Okay, so we'll get our water out of there. In goes our pasta. And now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. Very simple recipe. It's just really one of those dump and goes. We're doing some halved cherry or grape tomatoes or just seeded diced tomatoes. I've got some red onion, diced red onion, finely diced that. I've got some of these cute little fresh mozzarella balls. I just love those. They're so adorable and they taste really yummy. And then this is optional. I love olives, but if you are not an olive person, these are just pitted Kalamata olives. And then some more Parmesan cheese. And then give it a good toss. This is really best if made at least a couple hours before your picnic so the flavors really get in there. As mentioned, if you're doing it the day before, just do a dressing check and maybe add a little more oil and lemon juice. So there you go, my pesto pasta salad. We'll put the recipe on the website.